Hey Sadie, welcome to week one, I guess, sort of. So I got your email, thought I'd shoot a video because typically the way I communicate with the other students that are going through practicum is we have a weekly check-in, which often includes a video. So got your email. Sounds like you're actually starting practicum this week. So we're in spring break right now, and the class doesn't start until next week. But that's okay. You go ahead. You can go out to go out to practicum. That'll buy you one more extra week, so that'll give you actually 9 weeks of practicum. But that's great. So this is no problems in getting out there. So the way this course works is pretty simple. I've attached a syllabus, but the it's a very simple structure. So what we have to do is get the number of hours in that you need, and you are doing the 1.5. Looking at the email here, you're doing the 1.5 credit hour version, which equates to 60 hours. Okay, so we have to get 60 hours of logged time this week. Attached to this is a log sheet. Okay, that's going to be your Bible. You're going to log all your hours, have your preceptor sign off on those hours, and you'll submit that log sheet to me occasionally. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But that's the first thing we got to do. That's the majority of this course, and what the course is about is the hours. The next thing you're going to have to do are some smaller assignments. I guess part two is the smaller assignments throughout this course. Every 2 weeks, you're going to do a progress journal, basically just checking in with me. It's about a paragraph. It's not that hard at all. Maybe it takes 5 minutes to do. But I'm going to be checking in with you. I'm going to be asking you a couple questions, usually different questions every couple of weeks, and you're just going to write that within within your progress journal, or any problems, anything that you have going on. It's a great touch point for us. It kind of forces us to at least a little bit see what's going on in practicum, make sure that you're on the right track. Every 2 weeks as well, you're going to be submitting your updated log sheet. So, and you could just scan that, use a phone app, turn it into a PDF, take it, attach it, and send it in to me. So that'll be every 2 weeks. So right now, there's nothing to do with the course for 2 weeks other than do that log sheet and start logging in your hours. One of the things that you'll want to do this week, if you haven't done it already, is start to talk to your preceptor very quickly about whatever project that you're working on. We want you to do project-based work. If you saw any of the other videos out there that when we talk about practicum, we like you to do project-based work. So hopefully that's something that your preceptor has in mind for you. It's a great thing for you to demonstrate, put on your CV, on your resume. It's usually the kind of work that helps you out the best. Okay, is project-based work. Shadowing. We don't want you to do a majority of your time shadowing. A little bit of shadowing is okay, but not a lot. Okay, it should by no means be your experience. You don't want to shadow for 60 hours this semester. That's just way too much. But a little bit can be okay. And busy work, filing, answering phones, cleaning the stockroom, whatever. Busy work should not be a part of your practicum. Now, it could be a smidgen of it, a little bit. You want to be a team player. You want to show that you're a contributor and you're willing to pitch in when it's needed. That's absolutely okay. But busy work should not be your experience here. This is not helping you out. What typically helps students out is project work. It gives you something, a demonstratable achievement that you can talk about in further interviews, or you could put on your resume. You imagine you're sitting in an interview a couple years from now, or maybe a year from now, maybe 6 months from now. You can say, yeah, I was involved in a project that improved patient satisfaction scores by 3%. Here was my contribution to the project. And you can kind of tell a story about that, and it has a definite kind of evidence to that story, which is some sort of result. Now, you may not be able to see the result of whatever projects that you're working on right now because it may happen after your practicum, but I would definitely loop back and check in with your preceptor if you don't see the conclusion of it. Maybe find out about the conclusion of it so you can add that to your story, as you go along. Maybe it didn't work out. That's okay too. People love to hear that in the interview. We contributed to a project. Here's what we did. Unfortunately, the result was this. But the work that we did was helpful and indicated a new approach that we'll be taking later, something like that. So even a failure can be helpful when you're doing a project. Now, you may be some of our students are doing some projects right now that require some research, okay? Which is absolutely okay. So if you're doing a project and your preceptor says, "Hey, I need you to research, state laws of radiation protection in Wyoming or whatever," um, you can do that from home or from the library. It's completely okay. But research-based work should not be the majority of your experience. What we have found is that um, being there, those connections that you make, the networking, that's also a very big part of your practicum. Getting to know people, not sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's another reason for practicum. That's valuable. So if you have a heavily oriented research practicum or project, um, let's talk about that. For some students, it's absolutely great and works out perfect for their career goals. But in general, we like you to be there, not totally just in a room, crunching numbers or doing research, all day, at home or at the library. But definitely can be a part of it, and you can bank those hours and just have your preceptor sign off on them. You can kind of figure out, you keep track of your hours and have them sign off on it for you. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the type of work, but definitely um, my recommendation is don't sit back in the first week or two. Get that established right away. What we're doing, what I'm doing here. I'm coming here with an objective. I don't want to just, like, oh, here she is again. We don't know what we're going to do. Have a plan laid out of what you're going to do. Now, I guess your schedule, but the schedule between you and the preceptor, totally up to you. I don't care about your schedule. So you guys work that out, whatever works for you. The only thing I care about is that you're earning the hours. And again, I'll be checking in with you every 2 weeks, looking at how those hours are earned. If I see 1 week where you've earned no hours, I'm not going to freak out. But if we see a trend like, oh my God, we're only at 15 hours and we've only got 2 weeks left or 3 weeks left, then that's going to be a concern. What's happening? So I'm going to, reach out to you. That's kind of an extreme example, but I'll reach out to you and say, are you okay? Are we still getting the hours in? Or is there a concern? I just want to see kind of a linear growth. It doesn't have to be perfect, but kind of a linear growth in those hours towards the objective of 60 hours, because ultimately I got to give you a grade for this class. A huge component of the class grade is the hours. So if the hours are not there, if you're at 40 hours and I got to put a grade into the system, that isn't a passing grade. We got to get to 60. So we got to make sure that we're kind of on track to get to that endpoint. So that's a little bit about the course and the assignments. I will say here's a look ahead. Towards the end, when everybody's done with practicum or very, very close to being done, and I mean everybody, I mean all of your classmates in this particular cohort are done with practicum, you're going to be doing a presentation. And we're probably going to record that. We're still working out the details, but no, nonetheless, you're going to be doing a presentation, PowerPoint about your experience. So make sure that you're, if you have to, kind of capture whatever you want to do, notes, however you want to do it. At some point at the end of this thing, you're going to be asked to do a presentation about your practicum experience. And that's probably the hardest, if anything, the hardest thing as far as an academic perspective is making the PowerPoint and, rehearsing the presentation and all that. But that will come at the end. So this summer, look forward to that. But as far as like the writing papers and the academic work, it's very minimal for this course. The work is the hours that you put in, and we want those hours to be meaningful for you. And that's a little bit different for every student. So if we're not trying to fit everybody, a square peg into a square hole. We want it to be an experience that works for you. So some students are a little bit different, and hey, as long as everybody agrees that this is helping you and what you want, then that's great. But by and large, most students fit the same mold, where they're working on projects and they're primarily there working with the preceptor on site. There's a little bit of research, there's a little bit of shadowing, and there's a little bit of busy work, but that's about it. So the majority is really, that hands-on working with the project. So there you go. All right, so that's it. Big thing for this week, though. Week 1, out in practicum. Establish what you're doing, establish your schedule, and start banking your hours. Look for weekly emails from me on Monday, no later than Tuesday. I usually get those out Monday morning about the week, what we're doing, and what will be due to me. And again, it's very simple. It's only usually two things: a log sheet and a journaling assignment. So there you go, Sadie. All right, if you have any, oh, here's the other most important thing. Anything goes down in practicum. And when I think anything, I mean anything weird or uncomfortable or you don't like or any concerns at all in practicum, make sure you reach out to me quickly. Okay. Occasionally, sometimes we have problems out in practicum. And, whatever it might be, whenever you have people interacting with other people in a work group, sometimes, stuff can happen, just as in the workplace. Um, we want to try to get ahead of that as quickly as possible. I wouldn't say it's more frequent than rare, but it doesn't happen all the time. So, but it's already happened this semester, so with only 12 people. So yes, it definitely can happen, and we want to know about it and try to get ahead of it as quickly as possible. Again, to give you a meaningful experience. And so don't. I'd rather have you err on the side of caution and reaching out to me and us just talking it out. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's we look for an alternative. We talk about maybe an alternative practicum. That's the most extreme measure. But so don't hesitate to reach out to me. The best way for you practicum folks to reach out to me is through text message. So you have my cell phone number down below because I know you're out in practicum at all times of the day or not, maybe even on a Saturday. But definitely reach out to me. I think we're beyond any kind of bad weather, inclement weather, snowy weather, icy weather. But I'll just give you my little statement on this before I close. If for any reason you feel unsafe about going to practicum, maybe you have a major ice storm, don't go. We don't want you out there. Don't go if you feel like it's too dangerous to go. Just make sure you let your preceptor know you're not going to be there today. Maybe it's an ice storm. I'm going to be staying home today. Just so we don't want to be a no call, no show, but we don't want you on the roads if it's dangerous. Or if now with the coronavirus situation, if for any reason, and I forget where you live, but keep tabs on that. If for any reason your particular geographic area becomes a hotspot or there's concerns about things kind of shutting down in your part of the country, let's talk about that. But even before that, before we talk about it, you can say, I'm not going. There's been 2 cases of of coronavirus brought into that hospital. I'm not going. Okay, that's fine. I'll make that call there. But let me know and let's talk about it. I'll say here in the Midwest again. I'm not sure where you live. I'm looking through the emails here, but um, one of the largest schools in the country just shut down. So when Ohio State University shuts down at about 40,000 students, kind of a big deal. So I guess, but let's stay tuned, keep an eye on that. Last thing, we don't want you out in a hazardous environment, weather, coronavirus, or whatever, out in practicum. So stay tuned with that. But you can make the call if you feel it's unsafe. You don't have to wait for the college, for me, to say that it's unsafe. We trust you to make that call for your particular situation to say that it's unsafe. Just make sure you communicate with everybody if you're not going in. All right, that pretty much close our kind of introduction to the course in about 15 minutes. My weekly videos will be much shorter than this, but you're just getting started. So there you go. Have a great week out in practicum. And again, if anything comes up, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.